So Notion has introduced a ton of new features in 2023. And while the major ones received a lot of attention, the smaller ones often went unnoticed. We will explore my top 8 favorite features that Notion released in 2023. So Notion just dropped a brand new database feature called descriptions. Just take a look at this. You just hover the mouse on a view and it tells you what the view is all about. Hover it on a property and it tells you what that's about. When you select an option from select or multi-select, it tells you what that's about, like the one I'm using here for the Eisenhower matrix. When multiple team members are using Notion databases, you get a much better consistency with this one. Setting it up is actually quite easy. Just right-click, edit the view, the property, or the option, and you will find this new I button, the information button. You click on it, and you can enter your own description. And there you have it. Notion's strength lies in its databases. I often reuse databases that I have already created, but without the data. For example, when I want to copy a 2023 expenses database into 2024, it was earlier painful. Previously, the only way to do this was either to use the Command D shortcut or go to the 6 dots where the block is and click on it to bring up the duplicate option. Then I had to delete all the records in the existing database. If there were many records, it became quite a big hassle. Now you can simply hit duplicate and choose to duplicate it with or without content. This feature works well on all primary databases, but not on linked databases. Notion has quietly released numerous keyboard shortcuts without much discussion. For instance, the Command D shortcut previously duplicated databases with the content, and now the Command Shift D shortcut duplicates without the content. Additionally, the new shortcut Command Shift K brings up a Notion search window on macOS, enabling instant opening of pages in the desktop app. When you do the search, you can also see the page previews for the search results. They've also enhanced the @mentions suggestion when you type it in. Due to the sheer number of shortcuts, I have conveniently organized all of these into my Stream Deck, allowing them to be recalled at the press of a button. And if you're interested, you can get my Stream Deck template from my website. The links are in the description. So previously, Notion allowed text wrapping at the database level. Now you can do this at the property level. Simply right-click on the property header and enable the wrap column toggle. Another handy feature constantly updated by Notion is the number property, which now supports additional currencies such as the Malaysian ringgit, Mexican peso, the rand, the forint, and more. So I did an earlier video about this, that I use the dot commands and formulae almost every day, and I make customizations for myself. One dot command I frequently use is the style function, which allows me to format text. Notion has a limitation when it comes to colors. You can only choose from Notion's specified colors or set it as a background. However, by combining 2 style commands, I can apply a color and then add a background, which wasn't possible before. So in Notion, you can now customize the icons for each of the properties in a database. Simply right-click on the property and click on the icon to choose from a complete list of icons. Additionally, you can set a unified set of icons for the entire page and select the color that best represents your brand or clients. Another useful trick is to remove vertical lines from the databases for better readability. To do this, all you need to do is to go to the 3-dot menu, select layout, and uncheck the show vertical lines option. And lastly, you can narrow down checkboxes in a database to keep the column size minimal. However, please note that this feature is not available for other columns. Another handy trick is to freeze columns up to a specific point. To do this, simply right-click and select Freeze Up to Column. So one of the most requested features on my channel is an automated numbering system. Notion introduced a number ID property that assigns a sequential number to each row. You can add a prefix if desired. This is especially useful for non-editable fields like the task numbers or the invoice numbers, allowing you to obtain unique numbers for referencing specific rows. So Notion introduced a feature called Notion Automations that allows you to add a record to another predefined database. Yes, another database. This is useful for defining predefined tasks for a project, for example. When you create a new project in the projects database, it will automatically create predefined tasks and link them back to the project. To set this up, you define the automation for pages created in the projects database. It creates a page in the task database, names the tasks, selects a predefined tag, and links it back to the project record. Please note that you need to set up the relation in advance for this to work seamlessly. Dependency management. And this is my favorite feature. When you have multiple projects running at the same time, tasks within the projects can shift due to delays. With this feature, you can set dependencies within the database to shift when the dates overlap. Maintain the gaps between the items as usual, or choose not to shift automatically. So for example, you can select to shift tasks and maintain the time between the items and then move one task in the timeline. When you move the tasks, notice that the tasks dependent on each other will move automatically. If there's a weekend in between, it will be ignored and the tasks will continue on the subsequent weekday. Let's say you have a holiday in between or a special event. You can disconnect the dependency of the prior task, move that task and the subsequent ones together, and then reconnect the prior task. If you want to stay updated with the latest changes in Notion and other productivity tips, subscribe and click on the notification bell icon.